years ago. It's been a few years ago, ever since they moved up here. They have not had a real fully functioning radio system. They've had VHF and UHF capabilities, but the capabilities that they had at the courthouse, they're just not there. They could not participate in the MEMA nets, the once monthly MEMA nets, which occur on the second Tuesday of the month. But these nets are traffic handling practice for RACES organizations. And that's only once a month. They're only allowed to do that once a month as a RACES exercise. We need to be included in their planning sessions as to what's going to happen now. We lost the radio communications. What's going to happen now? We've lost a lot of the communications capability that they had at the old EOC. Some of the things that we need to do is be included in some of these emergency response plans. We have a mention in the emergency response plan for Cecil County, but we don't have, we aren't fully included in what is going to happen. We are the boots on the ground.
So in the previous emergency responsiveness plan, preparedness plan, at the same time that you did have the communication at the old courthouse, was it more of an extensive plan incorporated?
It was more utilized. It was much more available and much more capable than what we have now.
So we went backwards.
Yes. And what were you using radios at the EOC when you were communicating through Sandy, or did they have something set up there, or was that your own equipment?
No, that was county bought equipment that I operate from.
They had something set up.
So they have a UHF VHF system for the local communications. That's county bought. County bought. Didn't know I was so powerful. Anyway, yes, and the county does. I've worked with James Hamilton, and I've worked with Ted Wallace, and I've worked with Richard Brooks. Outlined all sorts of plans, what we need to have in place. You pick and choose, we'll make it happen. Packet radio, we can communicate through the WinLink system, which the sailboaters use for email. If something with the East Coast would go down, we can get out. Nobody else can, and I know you know about Katrina and all. Anyway, the county has some equipment. Unfortunately, they can't have an HF station, which is at 8 to 10 meters for the long haul. Because of a restriction on the zoning of the property, they can't have a tower or to get the antennas up in the air. They are working on that, but nothing's really come up that I know of.
One of the things for the long haul communications, the HF for the long haul communications, is sometimes the disaster is so regional, it's so large that you have to get word out beyond the capabilities of VHF and UHF. So we go to high frequency communications. We can get out to, if needed, we can get out to another amateur radio station, and they can get word back in to where we need to be, or where they need to get information, where we in Cecil County would need help if that came to that. Hopefully it never does, but a lot of cases, this takes some expenditure. It takes a little money to put up a tower. Even a temporary tower to hold the HF radio. We have to get these things up, and we have to practice with them. We have to work with them. Some of the things that we have is that we do weather reporting, damage assessment, monitor critical resources, infrastructures. We support the infrastructure of the communications in the county. We take a lot of the heat off, essentially. We take a lot of the pressure off of the county to what's going on in this neighborhood. We already have a ham in that neighborhood. We have an amateur radio operator there, and he's operating on battery power. What are the conditions in that neighborhood? We can check in. We set up a impromptu net, what is called a net, which is a communications link with all the amateurs in the affected areas. And we share this data with the various agencies. We provide other means. The first thing that goes down in an emergency is cell phone. The World Trade Centers on 9/11, what was on the top of those buildings? Cell phone antennas, gone. And the whole infrastructure that went with them, the things that that Hams did in New York and the surrounding area was set up the communications link to provide the necessary communications to get word out and get help in to all these organizations. We monitor all kinds of things. We deploy Hams to, as needed. The first thing is we look out for our homes, we look out for ourselves. The next thing is, if that's okay, we go out into the neighborhood to see what is happening, see what, where, who needs help, whatever we need to do. We have all sorts of ways to get the word out and all sorts of ways to get the word back in. We confirm and validate the data. We make sure that, the data that is coming into the EOC is accurate. There's nothing worse than web bloggers or Twitters or people with an agenda. They want to disrupt things. We make sure that the information that is coming back is correct, and we don't want to send emergency services out where there isn't a need for it, or just on a wild chase. We support non-government organizations, shelter communications, mass care activities. We've had several exercises where we do set up at shelters. There are not that many in Cecil County, but high schools are shelters. We had Hams in the communications exercise last year set up at a couple of the shelters and set up in their vehicles with communications right there and report into the EOC to provide the information on what was going on at the shelter. That was during Sandy as well.
You had one shelter at Sandy, it was Ridington High School. I was in control of the EOC, and the ham radio operator reported to me that the Maycomb County radio battery was dead. So we had Will, another ham, run another battery backup. Was it earth-shattering? No, but at least the people knew they had support. All these things blend together in emergency to make things go smoother for the folks that are involved. So that was just one case there. So it does work.
Before I forget, it just seems that our emergency operations center having a restriction on high frequency towers, isn't that out of the ordinary? I mean,
most of the emergency operations centers have some sort of high frequency communications, and they test this every month, at least every month, to make sure that they can get the word out, get the word back in with all of their communications capabilities. Most of the others do. Cecil, I don't think, is unique in this. There are other organizations, and in the research that I've been doing, I'm finding out it's a national thing. There are a lot of areas where there is not enough shared communication. There is not enough information that is passed or utilization of the amateur radio operators in the areas that can help them out. And in the cases of disasters, things like that, we don't need to waste the time with the National Weather Service coming up. There was a tornado sighted, but we can go into that area and report damage or no damage. If there was no damage in the area, they don't have to come out and, I guess there's nothing here, so we can move on to the next area. They already know that that area has not been damaged. They can concentrate more on the areas that have received damage. So what we do is with this information across multiple amateur radio nets, local, state, and national level, we can provide access to all these agencies that need this information. The EOC amateur radio operators, that was Cliff during Hurricane Sandy. He can do similar things. City, town, state emergency operations center locations, we can pass the word to the state, we can pass on. If we don't have the communications capability, which happens in a lot of cases, if we don't have that communications capability, we can't get the word out to the state efficiently. There is, as part of the state emergency communications plan, there is a repeater down in Davidsonville that we have to access because we're part of Cecil County. We're what is called Central Maryland, the Central Maryland region for this communications plan. And we can get, well, I can get to that repeater. I can reach it from my house. But from the EOC does have antennas, does have HF and VHF antennas. but, VHF, UHF antennas, that's what I mean, the VHF and UHF antennas to do this communication, but they can't reach the Davidsonville repeater. That they cannot get to that repeater, but I can get to it, so if Cliff is at the EOC, he needs to relay information to me that has to get to the state office, then I can do that. I can relay that on and get that information to them.
And the repeater makes the signal stronger.
Repeater makes it stronger. They'll take that weak signal I can get at with a small handheld, and I can pass that word along, it'll disseminate it over a wide range, wide area, and other amateur radio operators listening can pick up that information and pass it along where it has to go. And hams are very conscientious about providing accurate and consistent information, accurate, verifiable information.
Is your presentation complete?
Very close. What we want to do is include amateur radio, be part of the emergency management. We need to get the system in place to be able to communicate through what we need to, or through what needs to be done with the State Emergency Operations Center. HAM's actively performing these functions, well-trained, properly connected with the agency. We'll have the situation awareness. We can provide it. We do practice it. ARES practices this communications, and we are very well versed in it. So the bottom line is, when all else fails, amateur radio is there, and it works.
It's my understanding that you are currently working with the Department of Emergency Services, but you feel you can do more.
We can probably do more. Yes, I have no doubt we can do more.
Can I make a recommendation that you send a letter to the county executive with the areas that you think that you can do more, and where you need, where you can support the Department of Emergency Services, and where they can help you help them, and with send a copy of that letter back to us.
Certainly, I will do that.
Are there any other members of the council that have any questions regarding the amateur radio presentation that we've just heard?
I just had two. Number one, how many ham operators do we have in Cecil County?
Cecil County, I don't know the number exactly. We have about 11,000 in Maryland.
I wrote down 11,000 in Maryland, but you don't know how many we have in Cecil County.
Cecil County, I was just in the major population areas. I totaled up the listing of active ham radio operators in say Elkton, Perryville, and Northeast. There are something like over 250.
Well,
Just in that area alone, just in those major areas. That's not counting the other regions of the county, other areas. Like, I'm not even included in that count.
Okay. Obviously, ham operating is a passion for people who do it. I don't, and I'm not that familiar with it. How are you assured that there's going to be somebody sitting beside a ham radio when a disaster happens? I mean, you all can't stay at home all the time and listen to your ham radio, can you?
We do that. I have it on all the time when I'm at home, and I have it in my car. I have it if I'm on the road traveling somewhere, especially if there is weather coming in, if there are issues coming up, things like that. Yes, we are on the radio. We are out there. We are communicating. We are prepared and ready to handle whatever happens.
Okay.
Trained and practiced. We do regular training exercises and practice what we train.
Any other questions? Thank you very much for coming in and educating us on what good things you help us with.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you, Councilwoman Bromer, for inviting me.
All right, we're going to go back to our agenda, item number 2. The council is in receipt of a letter from the county executive recommending that we provide a council member to be a member of the county strategic plan advisory network. The county strategic plan advisory network is a group of individuals in Cecil County that's going to help the county executive develop a strategic plan. Does everyone else have a copy of the letter from the county executive?
President Hodge, the charter board felt very strongly that we write the requirement of a strategic plan into the county charter. We feel that it's the umbrella, well, it's not the umbrella, it's actually the rule book that's gonna get us where we wanna be. And this is a very important committee. I have had experience in strategic planning in the past, and I would like to step forward and say that I would like to be appointed to the strategic planning committee.
Thank you.
I would suggest appointing Councilwoman Bowlesby to this position.
All right, is there any further discussion on this matter?
Just to state the obvious, there's certainly a diversity of opinion on this board about the direction that we're going and about the success of charter government. And I'd like to delay this because I haven't had a copy of this in my book, so I can't respond and be prepared.
Mr. Massey, Robin, is there, would you got? But Diane, this was on the agenda also. It was
Yeah.
Clearly on the agenda.
Robert?
Appointment, strategic plan advisory.
We have had, items like this put on our agenda, and there hasn't been anything in the book, it's just a topic, and then I assumed we were gonna be talking about it. There's nothing under two.
Alan, would you make your nomination on a motion, please?
I made a motion, I suggest,
No.
and it's a motion, that we appoint Councilwoman Bowlesby for this position. Strategic Planning Advisory Network.
Is there a second? I'll second it for discussion purposes. Is there any discussion on the appointment? On the motion?
Well, we already had somewhat of a strategic plan in our comprehensive plan, although I agree, I agree that the, subdivision regulations, zoning ordinances, and other policies put the plan into motion. I can see from the county executive's actions already with, not saying she's going to revisit the tier maps, but hasn't, and removing the priority preservation areas out of the proposed map. She's rewriting the work, the effort, 2 years of work, that citizens have put into that plan that they want. And, I don't doubt she has her own strategic plan, we're gonna see that. Reflecting the people that, she is truly representing.
The charter clearly states that the executive strategic plan the strategic plan shall be the principal planning document of the county to which all other planning documents shall adhere, including the budget and the county's comprehensive plan. It's very clearly laid out.
Okay, so,
Let-
Councilwoman Bowlesby, if you're going to, just speculate that you'll be appointed to this strategic plan advisory network, you'll report to us as to the progress of
Absolutely.
this?
Unless I'm sure that it's not going to be confidential. I'm sure that all the meetings will be open, as were the charter board meetings, as was the transition meetings, as is every other commission, except for the ethics commission.
Oh, that's fine, then if it's an open meeting, and everyone can attend, I understand if you can't participate, but at least.
You can be there.
Right, I would hope that all of the meetings regarding the development of strategic plan would be open to the public, and they would be advertised in advance. I hope that the media will publish it. All those concerned citizens are welcome. I'm gonna welcome them to come and participate. to Diana Bromel's point, encourage Joyce to keep us informed. And quite frankly, we could have a standing item on our agenda, because I think it's an important issue facing the county, standing item for updates on this particular matter.
Well, I see in the second to last paragraph too, second sentence, the selected council representatives' attendance and participation through the process will play a vital role in the development of a plan.
Right.
So we need to be having a conversation on the council board as to the input of the development of the plan.
Sure.
All right, well, that's a key one.
Okay. There's been a motion and a second to appoint Joyce Bowlesby as a member of the County Strategic Plan Advisory Network. All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
Mike, did I hear you? Thank you. So the motion passes 4-1. Next item on the agenda is council policies and procedures. Mr. Massey, do you want to bring us up to date on changes and any items that you have regarding this matter?
Yes, sir. After we had gotten sort of a preliminary draft of our council policies and procedures, it came up during discussion to have a definition to highlight the difference between bills and resolutions. So in your packet 517, which I actually had asked Mr. Allison to review and give his input to show the difference between what a resolution is and what a bill is. So I thought that would be helpful in terms of differentiating the difference.
Mr. Massey, did you use a draft from another plan in existence, policies and procedures?
Not really.
The draft language came from?
I wrote it.
You just wrote it. On item C, the last sentence, there's an extra T in there.
Yes, I see that. Sorry about that.
So resolutions can be used to amend or add to the master water sewer plan, personnel policies and procedures, and budget amendments. Is that standard? Why did you pick those out?
Sort of going back to section 304 of the charter, kind of talks about that, and I did get Jason's advice that because within the ordinances for like the planning and zoning, it suggests that the zoning ordinance subdivision regs should have a public hearing and be in bill format. So it's kind of like, well, the other things that are not required to be bills can be resolutions. The master water sewer has to have public hearing. So it was kind of like trying to put the different categories in what would likely be make sense and be consistent.
Mr. Massey, on 5-19, was that 18?
Yes.
Process for resolutions.
Yes.
On E, resolutions that require public hearing are otherwise scheduled for a public hearing at the council's request. Is that going to be by majority vote?
Yes.
Could we insert that?
Of course.
And will be scheduled for consideration 3 weeks after introduction. So that means it's introduced, we have the next scheduled legislative meeting will have a hearing and an adoption. I'd rather not put 3 weeks. I'd rather say, because it could be more than 3 weeks, it could be, we may only have one meeting a month in the future.
Yes.
So I'd rather say,
Just take out 3 weeks.
Provides sufficient time to publish after introduction.
In order to provide sufficient time to publish notice of public hearing, so that requirement would be met.
figure it out without using weeks or days
Just take
or
it.
months. I understand what you're trying to do here, but I don't want it to say exactly 3 weeks, because it may be a little bit more, maybe a little bit less.
Yeah.
Most likely more,
Okay.
depending on our schedule. You may want to say legislative session after the public hearing. But let me ask you a question to the council. Is there a time where we may want to expedite this and vote at the same date and time and place as the public hearing that we would vote on it? Is there any reason that we would have to sit and wait for weeks?
I think we've been down this road before, and you open up that door, then it could be abused.
Well, I had put in letter D at the introduction, council may take action on a resolution that all members agree that is straightforward and without controversy, and there are no objections from any council member.
It's without controversy and majority vote.
Well, if just one person objects, you would not be able to do that.
Well, I would say, what do you call it, supermajority vote. You have to spell that out.
Well,
The supermajority is 4.
Oh, that's 4, yeah, unanimous.
And what he said,
Unanimous.
unanimous.
Okay.
I mean, I can see in the future the need for someone to have a decision made promptly that may not be controversial, may not have any opposition. And I hate to see us just wait.
D takes care of that.
Yeah, and I would just say, and with a unanimous vote, that is straightforward and supported unanimously by the council.
Instead, there are no objections from any council. You can say that. So take out, there are no objections from council members and just say by unanimous vote.
Is it the general consensus of the council to insert the language that Mr. Massey has provided us regarding section 5-18, 5-17, and 7-1?
I have no objections, but and I'm sure we can't get around it, but the reading of the resolutions 3 times, when they're introduced, when they're in consideration, and when they're voted on, is like watching paint dry. I mean, it is just, I see the audience glaze over. Is it necessary to do all that reading every time?
Only if it's in the charter. Is it in the charter?
I don't think so, no.
I think, I was wondering about that myself, and if someone is listening to the audio, and he just refers to the number.
And just
We always,
like resolution number 2013, a bill for amendment of the personnel manual. If you're listening to the audio, you're not understanding that, but come to the meeting and you understand it. Or call and get an answer. I just think we're losing people. I really do. But let me look in the reality.
In 304, section D,
Enactment of legislation.
before a public hearing on a bill, the title and a fair summary of the bill, the date, time, and place of the public hearing shall be published in at least one newspaper.
Right. So it's already in the newspaper, if they're interested.
That doesn't mean it covers it. I mean, Jim,
What's what he's reading? If what he is reading is published in the newspaper, what isn't happening?
I guess I'm going back to my former experience where in Harford County, we read it, the introduction as the first reader. At the public hearing, we read the introduction second, and then with final.
Read it again.
you read it, so it's 3 readers. But you are correct that the charter doesn't per se,
Say that.
you know, I could say it implies it if you're talking about it, but, it certainly could be done.
I just think we're losing people,
I
that's
think
all.
the trick is to keep it short and to the point so that people understand.
They've got copies of it, they're available for them before they come into the meeting.
Well, I think it's important that you offer the information quite a few times, because people aren't going to get it from one source. And just to be clear on what we're voting on, it's just gonna take one mistake where we've read the wrong number, and it wasn't the, you know, the correct bill that we were voting on, and, you know.
All right, does anyone else have any suggestions for amendments to the suggestions that Jim has forwarded to us?
I would like to give you a revision of the 7-1 rezoning. The planning and zoning would like us to do our own legal notice and notification of property owners, and so I did prepare a revision for you all.
Does that mean
We have to do it rather than the.
property owners will get 2 notices?
No, we would only be sending the notice for our public hearing. The planning commission would be responsible for sending their own notice.
The
What,
legislative,
what's notice? The mail notice or the advertising notice?
they have a public hearing as well.
Right. Because we just started with charter government, the planning and zoning offered to allow them, on one notice, they put both the public hearing for the planning commission as well as for our public hearing. And so as of July 1, we need to begin to place the legal notice just for our public hearing, and then to send letters to the property owners, just their public hearing.
This is in addition to the planning and zoning.
Well, planning and zoning will only give them notice for the planning commission's public hearing.
Yeah, I think that's a mistake. I think it should be together. People can read the one notice and understand that there's gonna be planning commission meeting here, council meeting here. They see the whole, they hope to see the whole process in front of them. I don't get the point why it should be 2 separate things.
Okay, well, I'll work it out with the planning and zoning that one notice will be sent and we will split the cost.
That I don't have a problem. I don't care who pays for it. The cost is not the issue. The cost is that it'll be confusing when they're not tied together.
Did we, include this in our budget advertising for this, the rezoning? I don't think we did.
I don't know.
The other point is that they need to split their application fee with us too. If they're gonna ask us to pay, then, because the applicants do pay a fee. And the fee is to partially offset the cost of advertising. So, you know, you can't have it both ways, you know, I'm not sure if that's their deal, you know, is it the money part of the problem or what the part of the problem is, but I don't see the need to separate out notices. I think it create more confusion.
Well, President Hodge, I thought planning, and zoning, was under the jurisdiction of the county executive, and she would have a say about that. Is that a request, that we split the fee? Kind of like the request to be able to?
Well, I'd like to work it out where it's pretty simple, and I'm only kidding about splitting the application fee. But if there's an argument about dollars and cents, then I'll be happy to argue about the application fee. But I just don't think it's appropriate to have 2 different notices where people have to read 2 different things to get the picture of the process.
Now, abutting property owners of standing,
That's taken out.
oh,
The new one, of standing is taken out.
Now, to some level,
wait. Okay, so abutting property owners will present, are you saying that only abutting property owners can present their testimony?
No, that was taken out, that was from another version.
No,
Anyone-
of standing was taken out. You have on item E, property owners and or their representatives will present their testimony in support of their application. Abutting property owners, abstaining taken out, will present their testimony on the application for rezoning.
And I'm sorry, that should be changed to opponents of the.
Right, opponent property, okay. Because abutting property owners are not the only people that are upstanding.
Yes.
Opponents of property owners.
Opponent property owners will present their testimony.
Under, can we go back real quick, on 5-9, is that 18? Yeah, 5-18. Item H, resolutions regarding policy statements are not subject to section 304 of the charter and are not therefore subject to veto by executive. You have an example of policy statements?
You supported, you were opposed to state law on this Gun Safety Act.
Mm-hmm.
That's a policy statement.
Okay. Wondering if we need guidance.
All right, is there any other thoughts, comments, or suggestions regarding the proposed amendments to our policy procedure? Hearing none, Mr. Massey, go ahead and incorporate them with the changes that we've asked for. The next item on our agenda is report from the council manager. Mr. Massey.
I wanted to remind you that in the next week, for our work session, you will begin at 9, but we would need to adjourn prior to 10 so that we will be taking a county bus to the Maryland Port Authority at 2100 Running Highway in Baltimore for a tour and a presentation by the Port Authority. We've invited members of the public, the press. In order to go, we need to get clearance for security reasons, so we need your driver's license number and your full name. And the tour, we have an agenda in your book to show you what will be presented that day. I had given you letters to be sent to the Citizens Budget Advisory Board to thank them for their support and recommendations, and I'll pass these out to see if there's any other changes, and if not, we'd like to have them signed by council members.
While Jim is passing that, are all members of the council going to participate in the tour of the port?
I'm going, Jim, are there any, footwear requirements oftentimes when you do some of these tours, they don't want you to have open-toed shoes or heels or whatever?
They have not said any.
Well, we're going on a boat, so I wouldn't
Yes,
suggest
there will be a
heels.
boat tour involved.
Okay.
And then the last thing, just so.
Wait.
Okay.
Do any of the council members have any suggestions, amendments, or corrections to the letter for the Budget Advisory Committee? Are you okay with that? You provided it to me last week.
Well, I didn't hear any other changes, so I would like the council members to sign them. So
Jim, we can't sign them because my letter's addressed to Jim Butterwoods and it says, "Dear Mr. Paul Trapani."
Well, that's an error, so we will get those.
So we can't sign it.
Okay.
But
This is
Well,
the same identical.
Yes, it's the identical letter. We just want to make sure there's no
Yeah,
changes.
the address and the name.
Yes.
they're reversed.
Okay, well, we're not asking for signature. Are we okay with the body of the?
I'm fine with body.
Next comment.
And the last thing is just to let you know, the redistricting commission met last night after the storm was over, and we had 7 members, and they're proceeding along with looking at the various plans. And they're going to start meeting every 2 weeks, because they hope to get the majority of their work done prior to August.
This was the, how many are?
There's 10, so we had 7. Well, actually, we have one resignation that has not been replaced.
Did we send a letter to the Senate?
Yes, we did, Democratic Central Committee.
And have they provided a replacement?
No, and I've called them and said they know they need to replace him.
The maps, and I'm sorry that I wasn't at the meeting, are the maps similar to the old districts or not?
Very similar. When they first looked, even the current councilmanic districts are very close to being equal. So what they're looking to do is, because they've created some new precincts for the legislative and congressional districts, they're trying to make sure that the councilmanic districts will follow precinct lines so that you don't have a split precinct.
Is there any effort by any member to do any gerrymandering that you can see?
No, I think they're all very sincere to just come up with the best plan that meets the criteria of contiguous and like-minded communities. I think that they're all very fair-minded.
Good.
Well, I did speak to a member on that strategic committee.
No,
like, redistricting committee. And they are looking more closely at the proposed maps, just to take a closer look before they accept them. So, if there was a proposal to accept them as submitted, and I appreciate that they're gonna take a closer look first.
Mr. Massey, do you have anything else to report?
No, I don't.
Thank you. Okay, next item is council member items. Ms. Brunel, do you want to start?
I did want to say I attended the grand opening of Big Lots, and even though it was a rainy day, it was a good showing. A lot of residents showed up, and so it's new jobs in the area. It's good to see the vacant space, the old Martin's store filled up once again. Yeah, I did want to bring to your attention, the Rural County Coalition is proposing that we have a presentation at the next Maker Convention in August by Anibal Basu. And wanted to get your feedback. I believe it was forwarded to you. Let's see. Anibal Basu can deliver a presentation to the Maryland Rural Counties Coalition on noting the impact of rural communities on the economic engine in Maryland. This presentation can serve the coalition in several ways as one of, if not the most respected economists and policy advisors in the state. Mr. Basu usually commands major media attention of his presentations in relation to Maryland's policies and economics. This will also serve to educate officials from the urban jurisdictions as well as the media on the major role we in rural Maryland play in the state. Now, V is below 5,000. I can't remember the exact figure. And I just let Reagan Charity know that I would hold the council and get back to them if we're in support of this expenditure.
Did all the council members get a copy of the request and review it? Al?
Sorry.
You know what Diana's talking about?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, I know
Right.
Robin, you forwarded that to, everyone, I saw, because you sent, I got it from Reagan Charity, and then I saw it forwarded by you, and it had the council members. Thanks for doing that.
Alan, I think I printed it out for you.
Okay.
I did get it. I lean towards no. I don't think it's worth spending the money. I do enjoy Anibal Basu. I think he's a great speaker. I have a lot of pleasure in listening to what he has to do. He's entertaining as well as chock full of economic details. I just don't think it's necessary spending the money. I would rather spend the money in a different direction. That's only one person's comment. I'll let you speak to the others. Alan's gonna need more time. Mike, did you get the email or not?
Yeah, I think I
would you poll the council members individually and come to a conclusion?
Yeah.
You just gave a talk at the college,
Yes.
months and months ago.
Yes, yes. I'm sure that some of the information will be similar, but it will be a different presentation based on a different goal. Joy, are you finished with your comments, Diane?
Yes.
Went to the step pool, ribbon cutting last week. It was, we have to be very proud of our landfill. I mean, it's just a wonderful, they've done wonderful things down there, and we should be very proud of what they've done. Again, the step pool, water and stormwater management system is going to be a model for the rest of the state, and other counties are already coming to look and to see how effective it's going to be. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Dunn, do you have any comments?
Sure, just, one brief item yesterday was the town election in Rising Sun, and I'd like to congratulate, I think the winners were George Walker and Lynn Duggar, and, best of luck to them in that position.
Thank you. Councilman McCarthy, do you have any comments?
At last Wednesday night, I attended, pre-graduation ceremonies and gave away scholarships to two deserving students. At Bohemian Manor High School. I also spoke to Scott Bennett, who basically is the man in charge of the Cecil County landfill. And as Joyce mentioned, the step order transfer pool worked very, very well over the weekend in these heavy rains.
Phoenix?
Excuse me. Beg your pardon.
I got two notices from the Public Service Commission. One is that Delmarva Power has asked for a public convenience and necessity to rebuild an existing 138 kVW overhead transmission line from Maryland-Delaware State Line to the Cecil substation. Quite frankly, I'm not sure what the Cecil substation is, but it apparently is just upgrading their high tension lines, not building a new one. And it doesn't say anything about right-of-way acquisition, so if there's anyone interested in finding out more, contact me or contact Jim. I also, and I can't put my hands on it, but there's also been a pre-hearing meeting scheduled with the Public Service Commission regarding the Old Dominion generation station in Rock Springs. They're moving forward with the expansion of the generation station there with 2 new generators. And there is a pre-hearing meeting in July. And Jim, you'll have that information available if anyone in the public wants to learn more or participate. That's all I have. So we'll move on to number 7 on our agenda, video recording proposal from the Director of Information Technology, Scott Medley. Do you have anything new to report to us?
Nothing to report.
Do any of the council members have any questions?
Am I reading this correctly? Swagat monthly cost $1,050, Granicus was $1,098.
That is correct.
So the startup costs are the only difference?
Startup costs, no, there's a big difference. Startup costs.
Well, yeah, I didn't say.
There's a big difference in that, but there's also a big difference in the amount of reporting that you get for that costs. So.
Mr. Nisnik, would you come up and speak in the mic?
Absolutely. I'm sorry, the monthly cost, it's important to remember when you're looking at that the Granicus cost is only 50 hours per year for that 1,098 per month charge. So you only get 50 hours. If we consider all of our meetings, that's only allows us 0.69 hours per meeting to cover the meetings. It's not enough. It's going to be more than that to cover what we practically need.
So 75 is enough?
75 for Swagat is not in hours, it's per meeting. So 75 meetings is enough, correct?
In other words, they're not apples and oranges. One is
Locked
apples, one is
hours,
oranges. One is per meeting and the other is per hour.
Correct.
So, but in order to have a true comparison, we know that the council spends more than 50 hours in meetings throughout the year.
Correct.
So that number would be much higher.
Much higher.
Okay, so I was thinking, I didn't remember this correctly, that it was so closely, compared the, monthly cost, but the difference is, I mean, Granicus, for what we actually needed, would have been a lot more for the monthly cost.
That's a good assumption, yes.
Yes, okay, so that's where, I didn't think those were the same numbers I saw before. Okay.
I have two questions of the council. Number one, do we have the money in the current budget to support televising or videoing our council meetings? And number two, do we want to move forward with it even if we did? Is it going to be tax dollars, money well spent?
Well, we're continually hearing about the cost of charter government, so I would be reluctant to vote for this because this will increase the cost of charter government.
I just find that outrageous. You supported the vote for a treatment plant process we didn't need, the BMR, 30 million. But for the sake of, more, transparency and, public participation, I do support this.
Jim, do we have the money in our budget?
Well, it is budgeted, we do have money from professional services that's not really,
We'd have to transfer.
we could use that, yes.
Well, I didn't support the professional services because I always felt that that was something that could be utilized to support an initiative, that wasn't necessarily with valid information.
I think the professional services budget was put there so that if we had a disagreement or a difference of opinion with the county attorney or any other member of the executive staff, we could go outside and find experts to get a second opinion. And so I'd be cautious about, and you've made it clear today multiple times that you have some serious differences of opinion of the county executive's actions. So I'd be cautious about using up our professional services
I support
cost.
what you just said. It's a matter of where do we go with professional opinion. And I think we can agree on that.
Well, the professional services is to go outside of the county, go outside of the executive's staff, go outside of the county attorney that's been designated to find subject matter experts that are not attached to or associated with the executive. So that's the point of that category of expenditures if it's necessary. So what's the pleasure of the board at this time? Do we want to think about it? Do we want to make a decision? What do we want to do?
I move we table until a future point in time.
Is there a second?
I'll second it for discussion.
How long is left? There's been a motion and a second to table the decision on whether or not we video our council meetings. Is there any discussion?
It amazes me how, we went into, how much into fund balance to, pass the budget because we were below, was it 3 million?
I think it was closer to 4.
4 million. priority, and, where this helps to keep government honest and transparent, get the public involved.
Well, I can address that. The only way that you can keep governments honest is for the people in the government to be honest.
I would also,
Photographing dishonesty does not make it honest.
Fear is very close to respect. I've heard that many times. You fear being caught. The more likely you're gonna get caught because of the process of it being transparent, more likely you're gonna stay honest.
From my limited experience in life, it's usually the thief who thinks he's being stolen from.
Okay, is there any other discussion on the motion to table?
So how long did you have in mind to table this indefinitely?
Indefinitely, yes. I mean, until when it's brought back up, we have the funds to do it. I'm not saying I'm against it, but these numbers are pretty high. And if we're basically to include everything the health department does and all the other departments do, this number could really spin out of control very quickly.
Scott, when you first proposed Granicus, how much was the cost per year?
It was considerably more, I'd say 9,000 a month.
9,000 a month. Now we're down to 1,050 per month.
Closer to 10.
that's only for 50 hours of time for a year.
No. We're talking about swagging.
Oh, you said
75.
Granicus. You did say Granicus.
Oh, what?
Granicus is-
No, he's done a spreadsheet showing, just for the blocked hours, a cost comparison. For 1,050, this is what you get. For the closest amount to Granicus, 1,098. Comparably, this is all you get. So that's the way it's presented. Right. And it's a lot less. So for Swaggit, you're getting a lot more for your money.
Absolutely. I don't question these numbers. I think these numbers are fine. I'm just saying that I have heard time and time again that charter government is costing us too much money, and I am not going to spend any more for video.
You're just picking and choosing what you're
Yeah, I
going to
am.
spend money on. What, could you tell me why you supported the Senate Point DMR process?
I'm not going
No,
into Senate point.
no.
That issue is closed. We voted for it. It's gone. Let it go.
But you never said why, and then, I don't understand why the papers didn't write about,
Okay,
the
hold
withholding
on.
information
We're talking
on
about,
DPW.
we're talking about video recording of council meetings. Let's keep our discussion on video recording of council meetings.
How many hits do we have on a monthly basis for the meetings?
Oh, on the audio? You're gonna research that?
Yes, I sent out emails to all of them.
Scott, I did not get your emails. I did go check after the last meeting. There was nothing there.
I'll send it again. Keep in
Thank
mind,
you.
though, that a hit is not a unique visit.
Mm.
So a unique visit could present up to 6 hits, 8 hits per unique visit. Not able to send you unique visits.
That's okay.
So I will send that again.
I mean, we have to keep in mind that we're a county of 103 or 4,000 people. And we talk about representing the citizenry, and that's 103 or 104,000 people, but I'm wondering how many of them use audio.
We're not, the benefit of, having this videotape is not to see, if people are utilizing it. It's to have more of a, user-friendly, accessible public record, accountability. And, this is something that, I know that the audio, I have been hearing from the public that they are going back and listening to the audio, and they appreciate it.
Okay, how many? Let's put numbers behind it.
You keep going to that.
I am keep going to it.
Okay, so it hasn't been, Mr.
Numbers
Reeser,
are
do you find this
important,
funny?
Diana.
Yes, I find it funny,
Oh, why?
because I get less than 20 hits on my videos.
Yeah, but You just are buying into the same argument as her. It's not
I'm
about-
buying into priorities on spending money. Why not have a member of the staff video just like I'm doing?
Mr.
And in
Reason,
August, I will
Mr.
not be doing it
Teabury.
anymore. Oh, thank you.
See, he goes in that direction, and then I'm not on the
All right, all right.
Hypocrisy.
I have one more question.
Mr. Reason supports
Hypocrisy, thank you.
How many man-hours will the county staff?
Ride around with your Jeep and all your little
Diana,
business
please,
back.
please.
Hypocritical.
Diana, how many man-hours will county staff have to provide to organize this, and present it and store it and whatever it takes to make this happen? Per meeting, how much time and effort will it take on your staff or anyone else's time to make this happen?
2 hours per week.
All right, there's a motion on the table there's a motion to table this, effort to video the council meetings at this time. And it's been indicated that it can be brought back up at any time. There's no time limit on the motion. So I'd like to have a vote. All those in favor of tabling this motion at this time, please signal by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, say aye.
Aye.
May I ask
Scott, can I
Mr.
ask-
Reason a question, please? No, Mr. Reason?
No.
Okay,
Ask
Scott,
him, ask him after.
how many, counties
It's remained
in,
in
out of the
this conversation.
24, have televised video recorded meetings? Have video recorded meetings?
Web stream meetings,
Yeah. Well, no, it doesn't have to be live stream, just
web stream. You got
web
it.
stream, okay, web stream.
I will get you that information.
Okay, I'm pretty sure it's well over a majority, and, even the education, the schools are videotaping their meetings as well. And, what they have found in my research, when I studied this, I think about 10 years ago, as a legislative aide, what happens is that more people participate in government, and they actually buy more newspapers of their local newspapers. And they're able to scrutinize those propaganda newspapers more effectively. This is something, well, I'm happy you're.
Why don't you just go there and slap them in the face?
Okay, we've had a motion. I think.
So that's the
Call for the
benefit.
vote. I move that we adjourn the meeting.
We have a vote.
I'm out.
I know
All
that,
right.
I'm moving that we adjourn this meeting. It's a waste of time.
Okay, I would like to say that 1:30, the council is meeting with, Richard Bayer, the Upper Bay Counseling, to have an update on mental health issues. And then at 2:30, we're on, with Frank Hodglitz of Home Partnership to discuss the land, acquisition of the North Street, property in Elkin. So is there no further business on our agenda for this morning's work session? I'd like to have a motion to adjourn.
Before we do that, is it possible to get the audio of that May 14th meeting by this afternoon? Or no?
I will try.
If we can, I'd
Thank
also
you,
like to add that to
Madam
this
Chair.
afternoon's
I have to see
agenda.
if Robin can help me get it.
Can we try to schedule that at 2 o'clock?
No, I have something on my 2 o'clock.
Well, let's do it right now if you can get it.
Yeah, that would be good. I agree. I support that.
Doesn't have to happen. How are we going to
That all in here at the same time.
My problem is I believe I have it on my computer and so.
So you're not gonna be able to do it right now? Well,
I don't know how to.
we can,
Take it in your office.
We just have to do it
Yes.
in one of our offices.
Yeah, that's fine.
Why was it even done prior
Yeah.
anyway?
We can do it.
I don't think we can.
Well, it's on only a accessible drive that Vicky or I have, but I just have to figure out how to get it.
Can we do it in your office at 11:30?
Sure.
Okay, we're gonna reconvene, in closed session.
Why was it not closed session?
To listen to the closed session audience.
Why did we do it the first time in closed session?
Because it was
It was
pending
litigation.
Okay, There's been a motion, is there a second to
Adjourn.
adjourn? There's a motion and a second, all those in favor say aye.